I woke up to my thoughts and thought I had to go. I woke up to my thoughts and thought I had to smoke. Oh no, no, no. Gave up my body for some combos and meals. I ain't talking about millions, talking entrees at Ritz, talking be dressed at 6, talking just cause he rich. Yeah, this don't make no sense. Pops ain't raised me like this. You can search every inch of my mind. You can look through these cracks and you'll find. You can look at the past of my life. You can look at my past and you'll find I got memories about the girl you were.
Hey man, good morning, man, and welcome to Real Talk with your boy MRK, and this is Coffee in the Morning, man. Hey guys, welcome to my podcast on this Tuesday morning. I hope everybody has had woke up to a blessed day, had a good night's rest, and you're ready to start your day off, whatever it encounters with, and whatever you have to maneuver and go through today, as far as if it's work, if it's just running errands, if it's, I don't know, you got a big test at school, man. Hey, man, welcome to Real Talk, where we talk about the untalked about discussions that most people don't want to have. Everybody wants to kind of live on the surface and talk about things on the surface, and they really don't want to get into the weeds of things, and that honestly probably would help us all grow as individuals and just human beings, and just always trying to find that place of growth and understanding and wisdom and knowledge and everything. So this is what I do as far as on Real Talk. We talk about different types of discussions, and man, yesterday was a good one, man, with James Dale, man. We had a discussion, hot topic about the ins and outs as far as marriages and the conflicts within marriages and family, and how that dynamics, those dynamics have can sometimes change the course of the marriage and everything. So it was definitely fun yesterday. Me and James, man, we chopped it up with that. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the morning inspiration, and we all know what the morning inspiration does, right? It inspires us, it enlightens us, and it gets us to a place to where we're able to kind of reflect on ourselves, and maybe we take that inspiration and we put it to our lives, and that's what I do. So the morning inspiration is silence is the most powerful scream. Do not be silent. There is no limit to the power that may be released through you. That's by Howard Thurman. Let me read that again. Silence is the most powerful scream. Do not be silent. There is no limit to the power that may be released through you. But what I got from this is in your silence, there's a lot of stuff that you are holding on to, right? And if you are not speaking, if you're not able to voice maybe your opinions or be able to be vocal and speak, there's no power in that. The person that, what's the old saying? Closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't open up your mouth and voice things that are on your mind, I guess in a way that is probably, conducive to a way that will benefit you positively. And I'm not saying that you got to rant and rave and you have to do it in a volatile type of way, but let your voice be heard. Don't be silent. Don't exist in silence, because your voice should be heard. Like, you are somebody, and don't allow anybody to limit that. Don't allow anybody to depower you. take your power from you, because all we have is our opinions. All we have is our voice. And without a voice, man, you don't exist especially in the world that we live in. And I mean, and me being in the military for 24 years and how the military works, you're pretty much silent in a certain way. And I know some of you guys are also going through this in your own workplaces, in your own, in your own families. You don't have a voice. You feel like you're not being heard. Nobody wants to hear you. Nobody even if you do speak, they're not listening, and they're not listening in a way to understand you. So don't let anybody silence you. Saying that silence is the most powerful scream, they say, right? So in that silence, there's power that comes with that, right? There's power that comes with you taking in and observing things and not being able to speak. Allow your voice to be heard. Don't be silent. Don't limit your power. Let it be released. Allow yourself to be heard in any type of circles, any type of like, whether it's the workplace, whether it's your families, whether it's in your relationship. And if you're in a relationship with your spouse or your significant other, that is definitely not the place where you should not be heard and you're just sitting in silence. Don't allow yourself to be muted, because you have a lot to say. As human beings, man, and we are all different individuals and we have different mindsets. Be able to be in a place where it's not hostile, it's not toxic, and you can be heard. All right. So that's the morning inspiration. Silence is the most powerful scream. Do not be silent. There is no limit to the power that may be released through you, by Howard Thurman. Just remember that, y'all. Man, we're going to move it on to the Poet's Corner. Hey, it's just me here today. So we definitely going to move it on to the Poet's Corner. And it's by me, your boy Martez, Raphael Kirkland. And it is called I Speak in Silence. I Speak in Silence. That's what it's called. And let me go ahead and pull that up. And I'm going to go ahead and recite that for you. And I hope it speaks to you guys. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to relate to you guys with this poem. So here we go. I'm struggling to find my way. See, there's nothing that I can say. So all I can do is pray as I lay in silence, hard to voice my opinions about all the violence that I can see. Many dying without any guidance is obviously a problem for all of us to solve. But none of us speak about it. No one wants to get involved. Instead, we would rather take our phones out, record just for social media, likes, views, and rewards. How ignorant can we be to watch someone get hurt, abused, or murdered? I feel as if I'm unheard by no one hearing my silent screams or wants to hear about the pain I have endured or acknowledge just my very being. But of course, I know we exist in a world of evil and hate, with people amongst us with no belief or faith. And this is why I must break my silence and speak with conviction and a strong spiritual purpose to be truthfully honest. Hey, so that right there was a poem that I actually just wrote this morning when I woke up. I didn't know what I was gonna, do far as the Poet's Corner. I didn't know if I was gonna recite a piece that I wrote, or just pick something that that inspired me or that kind of spoke to me. And that's what I did. I went ahead and wrote a piece that was called I Speak in Silence. And I believe a lot of times we all walk around in this world that we live in, and we see things and we don't say anything. We know things are going on around us and we don't voice it. We don't get involved. We become a part of the issue. We become a part of the problem. And there's people in the world that are dealing with pain and sorrow and hurt and mental depression, and they don't say anything. They don't know how to get help. They got all that locked up inside. So I speak in silence. So that's what I call that poem right there, man. I speak in silence. So let's go move on, man. We're going to get right into the hot topic of the day. So the hot topic of the day is how to heal from a divorce. Healing is possible with healthy coping skills and time. So, how do we do that? Myself I've been through three devastating divorces, and they were hard. Each one I had were probably about 5 years in between before I remarried. And you probably ask, man, why you married so many times? Well, I'm just a brother. I was searching for love and wanted to have um, something long lasting. My idea of marriage was getting married, I guess, at a young age and being able to have a family and look back on it now at the age of 45, look back and say, man, look, we've been together for 20 years and, look how great, or look what we came through and what we endured, and we actually, persevered through all the adversity, and we're still standing with one another. To have that, to find someone that you can kind of love and build a family with and go through your ups and downs and still be there for one another, I think it's special. And, you can blame it on my parents, um, they've been married for 43 years, so I wanted that, but not understanding all the hardship that marriage comes with. So I was on a path of searching for that, picking and choosing most likely the wrong individuals, and honestly not working on myself. Not working on myself and really healing from those relationships, and kind of, even though I would say I was like 5 years, it's pretty good, a 5 year stint in between. But a lot of times what I found out and when I had to reflect on all of them is that I had to realize that I had baggage and I really wasn't healed. And maybe I moved too quickly into another relationship because I carried that baggage over the fears, the scars, the hurt, the pain. And what they say, hurt people hurt people. So I was scared. There was triggers that came up that maybe the other ones did, and maybe they wasn't nearly like the last one, especially my first marriage. And I was scared. I didn't never want to be in that position again. I never wanted to feel that type of pain and hurt and endure that type of abuse. Yes, she abused me. She was abusive to me, physically, and so I was scared. And I allowed that to probably hinder my other marriages. So let's talk about to how do you heal from a divorce? If you don't know, divorce is it's like a death. That's really what it is. Because when you meet someone and you go through the process of the courtship, the dating, and finding that person and getting to know that person, and you going through the ups and the downs within the relationship, and then you marry them and you build and you fall in love with them, right? Pouring your heart out, you're sharing your most vulnerabilities with them. What happens is, they become you. That's what it's supposed to. You mesh, become one. And when that divorce happens and you split, they take a piece of you. They take a piece of your heart. I don't care what nobody says. It takes time to get over that. That there's somebody out there that you was basically vulnerable with. You were open and honest and transparent with. They know your secrets. They know your flaws. They know your insecurities at the time. And when you split, that person goes. The difference is they're still living, and that could be worse. The fact that there's someone out there that you used to be in love with, that you shared all these moments and these insecurities and these deep thought discussions with, they have a piece of you, and that's sometimes could be a hard pill to swallow. And then nobody wants to have anything. Nobody wants to fail at anything. So that's what I went through. And you can imagine that I went through it 3 times. 3 times, which was hard. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the healing process, right? So understand this. How do we heal from it? Healing is possible, right? With healthy coping skills. Understand this. Divorce, it involves stages of recovery. The process takes time, whether or not you wanted the divorce or not. That's the realization that I had to come to, even if I didn't want it. And then there was a time I did want it. when I even wanted it, I still was going through the process, and it still hurt. It was still pain, right? Another thing is phases, and there's phases that you go through, right? The acute phase, the acceptance phase, the adjustment phase, and then there's the healing phase, right? That you all got to go through. You don't really know that, okay, in 6 weeks, I'm going to go through this phase. Everybody has their own timeline. All right. Then there's the recovery, right? When you recover, it involves commitment to positive coping. You have to have those positive coping skills. And it takes 1 to 2 years, or even on an average, right? It may take longer than that, depending on you, right? So say your wife or your husband, they just announced that they wanted a divorce. They just came to tell you that, guess what? They wanted a divorce. Or you probably had an idea that it was coming, but you just didn't know when, right? That's what happens. In any marriage, right? There are things that happens that leads up to the point of someone saying that, hey, I want a divorce. Whether you believe it or not, it's happening. Whether you get blindsided and you feel like you've been hit by a truck, like somebody just smacked you in the face, sometimes that happens. Like you had no idea, right? Like they were unhappy because, say, they never told you, or maybe you were distracted by your career, your parents, whatever's going on in your life, right? You didn't pick up on those signs that they were giving, right? Your spouse can tell you, like, hey, I don't love you anymore, or I'm not attracted to you, or I care about you like a friend. That comes from the disconnection, the lack of communication, or just over time when you guys have just grown apart. There's so many different reasons, right, for a person asking for a divorce, right? Which divorce is horrible. Divorce is not good. And I'm a man speaking from experience, right? It is not good. Like I said, even when I wanted one, it still was hard to go through. So like say perhaps like they blame you for decisions, and they upload all the things of, like, far as complaining. It may be injustice. They collect all these things. I'm gonna be honest. Like, so who remembers every disagreement? The person that is asking for the divorce or telling you that they're gonna divorce. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of times you dig up things that the other person thought that they were forgiven for. They thought that you guys had already worked through that. You guys were at a good place. But when that person wants a divorce, they start to go back 2, 3, 5, 10 years, which is crazy. And it's unfair for that individual that is getting the news. That's unfair, because in a marriage, you're supposed to forgive. In marriage, there's going to be a lot of forgiveness. Marriage is like being with your kids. Like, your kids are going to disappoint you. They're going to hurt you. They're going to do things that you don't agree with, right? But what we do as parents, we forgive them over and over again. But the one person, and I'm going to say this, women, men out there, I'm going to say this right now. You guys fail to realize the most closest relationship that we have as a person to another person is husband and wife. On the contrary, that is with your children. If you go by biblical standards. If you don't, then you just of the world, and you just like, hey, that's probably why your relationship is not working, or your marriages are not probably flourishing, right? Understand this. You're supposed to leave and cleave for your mom and combine and be evenly yoked with your wife, and you're not supposed to put your children over your husband. You're not supposed to put your children over your wife. And understand when I say this, right? When I say that, I don't mean you neglect your children. It don't mean that you don't love your children. Don't mean that you don't have a bond with your children. I'm not saying that, right? But understand, the children that you have, that you bear, and the children that you make, guess what? One day they will leave and cleave to someone else, and they will come their mate, and they will have their own children, meaning they will have their own lives that they will have to be able to pay attention to. Not you, mama, not you, daddy. but you forget about your husband, you forget about your wife that you married before God. But we all don't. Marriage is not the same for everybody. Put point blank, because everybody don't look at marriage as in the same way. Me, it is. Marriage is a covenant of God. So if you don't have God on your front fold or your foremost thought of your mind, then you're already you're already probably failing, because maybe that marriage will be lasting for a few years, but when it gets down the line, then you guys are going to start disconnecting the communication. You're growing apart. And I'm not saying that if you have God that it won't happen, but it's a more of a it's the struggles are even harder when you don't put, I would say, God in your marriages. But let me get back to the healing process, right? So unfortunately, according to like there was some institute research from Gottman, right? Most people get to marital counseling 6 years too late. Like, everybody want marriage counseling when things are already in turmoil, things are already, about to be done with. And it's like, let's just try this. This is the last thing that we'll try. And I can say that at least I'll try. People don't go to counseling just to go to counseling, just to have counseling. It is good to have counseling and therapy when everything is good. Why not, do that before? But we don't. We all do. I did it, right? Only thing you did was probably premarital counseling. Then after that, you was like, I don't need this and everything. And you got married and you started having issues. And then when the issues came and it got too hard for you guys to handle, then you decided to go see a therapist. You decided to go see a marriage counselor. You decided to go see a pastor. And now the problems have gotten so bad that it's hard. Not to say that it couldn't be saved, but hey, so many things have been done or said, it's almost like a point of no return. So, under the circumstances, the wounds of divorce will be deep. I felt that 3 times. Understanding having deep wounds in yourself multiple times. That was me. That's me. Even if it's your decision to divorce, see, I just talked about that. Even if it's your decision to divorce, your heart will hurt as you will pierce, your emotions will be hemorrhage as you struggle with the shock, the hurt, the anger, the guilt, the fear, the future you envision as you stood on your wedding day. Is basically, it becomes unraveled. It is no more. That's it. That is exactly how I felt. That is exactly what I was going through. I felt like I failed again and again, and I didn't want that. I didn't want that, man. I was confused. I was emotional. I wasn't myself. I went through I went through some depression. See, a lot of us don't talk about it, but I guarantee you, 90% of people in just the world have been through some type of state of depression. Now, depression comes in many different levels: severe, medium, and low. But you've been depressed before. You just don't want to talk about it because your pride is too high, or your ego is too big for you to even talk about it, because you think it's a sign of weakness. But I'm gonna tell you, for you to talk about issues, man, to me, an individual that can be willing to do that is a sign of strength. It's a sign of strength. All right, because they are understanding, they are aware of themselves. The person that does not talk about these things are not aware of themselves. They're not mentally strong. All right, and they're very proud. They're tore up inside. They're tore up from the floor up. So let's continue to go. Healing process within divorce. Right. So number one, how can you begin to recover? How do we begin to recover? Right. This is the first phase of it. Right. It's devastating wounds. The first phase is about stopping, the blood, the hemorrhage, the emotions and stuff, and what you're going through. Right. This phase is about attending to your emotions before you think about the legal actions, the major decisions that you have to go through. You may feel out of control, emotionally paralyzed by the shock. You may feel overwhelmed. I'm going to tell you, it's overwhelmed. You don't know if you're coming and going. You don't know where to begin. You don't know where to start. There's so many different things that are going on. Who is leaving the house? If you got to leave, now you got to find a place. What we're going to do about the kids? I mean, there's emotion that you still love the person. What is the family going to think? What are friends going to think? You're hiding what you're going through. You're not telling people. People ask you about her or him. You're like, you're faking the funk. You're faking. You're lying. Come on, man. It's hard. So this is what you do. Give yourself time to process the news. Get support from the friends and family and go get a therapist. I did the same thing. I'm going to tell you, man, counseling is good. Get you a third party, someone that is unbiased to the situation and neutral, that can tell you the honest truth based off of the things that you are saying and relaying to them, right? You have to give your time process. So you're trying to cope, right? You got to remember, you got to get sleep, right? I'm gonna be honest, man. I wouldn't sleep. I would wake up, go to sleep for an hour, 2 hours, wake back up. My mind was just always moving. I never fully got true rest because even when I slept, man, I would have nightmares. So I never rest. What I did is I threw myself in a basketball. That was my medicine. You see, that's why you would sometimes, hey, you need to go see a therapist, talk it out. See a pastor, talk it out. This is what you don't want to do, though. Going through this, don't escalate things. Don't argue. Don't make things more. Don't make rash decisions. Don't rush to hire even a lawyer. Wait. Take some time. Get a calm. I did everything that I just spoke. Everything and above. I rushed. Arguments. I was hurt. I was confused. I went through the phase of trying to, mend my marriage back, to do everything I could because I just didn't want to have a failed marriage. I didn't want to start all over again because especially after the first time, I knew what that looked like. And I was like, it was a point where I didn't even know if I could go through it again. That was probably my lowest point. The world came crashing down after the second one. So another thing, also don't go out there and indulge in drugs and drink and everything. They're harmful. They're only going to make things worse. That I didn't do. I'm not a drinker. I ain't a smoker. All right. That's probably why I look, pretty young. I don't do all those things. All right. Glass of wine here and there every few months. That's about it. So the next thing is, how do you accept it? How do we accept this devastating news, this devastating thing that is about to happen and about to change your lives, right? So once the bleeding is under control, right, you can begin to attend to the wound. Like most wounds, the bleeding can start again, right? The wound isn't treated if it isn't treated correctly, right? You'll be in an emotional roller coaster. I was that for weeks, months, even years. You'll swing from anger to grief to fear to shame to guilt. Everything that I just said, I went through. It's my fault. No, it was their fault. I can't stand them. Oh, I'm glad I don't have to deal with them no more because they didn't really love me, because, well, if we get a divorce and they don't, it wasn't meant for me. All of that. It's crazy, man. It's a roller coaster ride. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. It's stagnant, moving slowly. See, you got to remember, all these feelings are okay. See, your feelings are normal. It's a response of abnormal, like for you, right? Because of this event. So you need to sit with your feelings and remind yourself that it is necessary to part of processing your life crisis as you move slowly towards an acceptance. Emotions will come in waves and come and go, right? And over time, there will be more and more periods of calmness when you feel the feelings of the feelings become manageable. That means you're getting to a place of really understanding it and accepting it, right? So now we come to a place where now the adjustments. How do we adjust? The phase takes place as you adapt to your new circumstances. By this time, you will probably be working through a legal process, going through the lawyers and all that good stuff, something that you still don't want to go through. You'll feel stronger. You're able to think more clearly. You will be able to have better understanding, develop a plan, both financially about parenting or what would be the next step for you both. how you guys going to interact. During this time, you'll continue to take care of yourself. You got to stay healthy. You got to stay strong. I went through a phase where I don't think I was taking care of myself the best. I wasn't eating right. Like I said before, I wasn't sleeping right. It was affecting me in the workplace. It had affected me with the relationship with my kids. I was just a mess. I was all over the place. So number 4, like next one is the healing process. How does that look? See, through the healing process, that takes time. So in the meantime, right, keep yourself busy, friends, family, work, while allowing yourself to grieve. What I did was I threw myself into coaching. I would spend time with my family. I would go down to my parents' house. I would go to my brother's on the first one. He was up in college. I would do more things, and I would, instead of just being in my place, moping and feeling sorry for myself. You got to start loving on yourself again. Take time to develop and reclaim your interest. That's important. Now, I lost interest to the things that I love to do. One thing that I'm glad that I never threw away was basketball, was coaching. Even after my second wife, man, if I honestly, if we never depart, I'll probably never start my AAU organization. I was already coaching, but I don't know if I would be coaching in the way that I'm coaching now. I indulged myself into which was my passion. And that basically saved me. It kept me sane. It kept me mentally stable. So you have to develop practices such as if it's a journal. My journal was music to me. I do music. I wrote. That was my journal. It was my escape also. So you have to find, say 3 things to be grateful for every day. You can say, I always be like, there's somebody in a worse situation than I am. Even though I'm going through this and I'm going through all this, there is somebody that's in the worst situation than I am. And I always remember that. I always said that to myself. So I count my blessings, and I was grateful for what it was that God gave me in the position that I was in, even though maybe some other people may have not been great. Also, be sure to exercise. I exercise. I had no choice. I was in the Army anyway, so I was doing PT, but I played basketball. That was a fun leisure type of thing to do. Another thing is I didn't have no pets. I'm not a pet type of guy, so that didn't work for me. Then another thing, many people have found a nurturing house and plants and stuff. I'm not a plant guy, but I found other things that took my mind off of what was going on. Now, sometimes it'll only be temporarily. It wasn't like the be all end all fix for what I was going through, but it actually helped. It helped heal me. So you have to, and then the last thing, look, you got to consider forgiving yourself and the person that you just came out of that marriage with. Forgiveness is everything. Forgiveness is everything, right? Like many wounds, this is the one that will likely leave a scar. I have scars. You will be changed. I have been changed forever. You experience, while scars are painful reminders of the past, you're learning to live with them is another thing. Sometimes scars make you stronger. I'm gonna be honest, even though when I was going through it, it hurt, but it made me tougher and it made me stronger. See, as you recover from this and you heal, you will learn what you bring to relationships and what you need or want a relationship to be. When you are ready to move on, you will take this new knowledge with you. And I'm gonna be honest, it took me a few times to get to that place. And now that I'm in a new relationship, I'm able to incorporate the things that made me stronger. I'm able to incorporate the things that I've learned from my past, from the mistakes, from the decisions, from the encounters of those relationships that I had to honestly to be a better boyfriend, to be a better man, to be a better one day a better husband. I've learned, I've gained the knowledge, I've gained the understanding, I've gained the wisdom through all of that experience. So through the hard and through the adversity, there's some good that comes with it. And that's what I took from all of the failed marriages that I had. So again, I hope that has helped you, man. That is, you know what I'm saying, some ways where how you can heal from divorce. Because healing is possible, right? There's many different healthy ways that you can cope and come to a place of forgiveness and healing. Just remember that. Just remember that, y'all. Man, hey, we're gonna go ahead. I'm about to get up out of here, man. Today was a short one and everything because I just really wanted to harp on the healing process of divorce. I wanted to harp on you being in silence. And if you're in silence in your life and you feel like you don't have a voice to speak, speak. Don't be afraid. Open up. Let your mouth be a strength for you. And when you speak and you say something, let words be powerful, y'all. All right. I'm Martez Raphael Kirkland. This is Real Talk with MRK. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you guys. We are over 18 subscribers. I'm sorry, 1,800 subscribers on YouTube. You guys go ahead and like that button. Make sure you subscribe. Go ahead and share this podcast, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Y'all take care. This is Martez, Real Talk with MRK.